Okay, I do have 4 o'clock, so I'll go ahead and call the town council meeting of April 14th, 2025 to order. And the first order of business would be the invocation and the pledge.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for the many blessings you've given us. But Lord, we also recognize that we are going through many challenges right now, and we just ask that you please lift up those who may be ill and those who may be struggling. And Father, we just ask for a wonderful and productive meeting this evening. And all these things we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. And Terry, you want to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. And everyone should have received a copy of last month's minutes. Any comments, corrections?
I move to approve the March 10th, 2025 minutes as presented.
I'll second. Any motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. And Sharon, we'll move to the treasurer's report, please.
So before we get into the budget, you did receive in your packet March's statements. We're getting towards the end of the fiscal year, and we're still looking pretty good. We have some big income tax numbers that we're expecting. The next 3 months will have some of the largest income tax payments. So that should make us even look better by the end of the fiscal year. Let's see. And I think I really don't have much to add, on the general fund or the enterprise fund on the notes. The financial statement, so we can move.
Well, we don't have the public hearing until 4:15, so.
We'll jump back to you.
Yeah, we'll come back. Any comments, questions on the current submission for the budget?
Nope.
Last month's? Okay. So, yeah, we'll come back to you at 4:15 then. Okay, we'll move to Planning Department. Mike Bailey.
Yes, sir, members. So the Planning Commission has 2 items on the agenda for the 21st. St. Mary's Assisted Living Facility is going to be coming to request an extension of their permit time. They have met the requirements as far as doing work on site. They pulled a demo plan and did remediation of both the dilapidated buildings on site, wherein they also had to have MDE look at whether or not there was any asbestos at the site. And they've done all that, and since those areas have been cleaned up, they have silt fence remaining, but they're going to come back and ask for a permit extension. The second item on the agenda is the Leonardtown condominiums, and they are located, they're coming in for concept approval. They have both DPW, soil conservation, and planning department concept approval. That site is located at the end of Courthouse Drive on the west side of the courthouse at the intersection of Fenwick and Courthouse, which was the old property owned by Mayor Norris. So they, from that, we'll take a look at it and see where we go from there.
So those are condos or apartments?
They're labeling condos, but they're apartments essentially. It has underground parking, so it's a 3-story, but the first floor is underground parking with associated stormwater management, etc. go along.
Okay, so it'd be 3 stories there. Plus, they're planning on a walkway to downtown, so you won't have to go all the way down. From the 3rd floor, there'll be a walkway to the top of the hill.
So that's not on this particular concept.
Okay, that's kind of their thoughts.
Where is it? Is it across from the cemetery?
Yes,
Yes.
essentially.
Well, on Courthouse.
One Courthouse
There's
Drive.
2 vacant lots. Dan
Yeah,
has
where
one,
people
and-
always park.
Yes.
Oh,
okay,
I
sometimes,
gotcha.
But it's the one closest to us.
Okay.
And Mike, how many units are they?
There's
proposing?
22 units proposed.
Okay.
Wow.
Yes.
They could fit all that in there?
Yes, according to their site plan.
That hadn't been approved yet, but that's.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they're looking at. Okay.
No, I don't see any issues with the number of units. They've met the parking lot requirements.
Okay.
There are some other things that they need to address that I probably am not going to allow is they want to do stormwater management across the street onto the town property, and I'm telling them to take it parallel and dump it where the water is already going. We don't want to add more water to the wastewater treatment plant facility because we've already had to mitigate that once, so we don't need to have to deal with that again.
Okay. Anything else for Mr. Bailey?
I think you answered it, and Mayor, you asked it, but just to verify again, apartments or condos? What did you say they're going to be?
They're coming in, they're being, the paperwork is all saying condominiums, but I believe it to be apartments.
Okay.
See, that's what they've talked about as apartments, so.
Apartments.
So why don't-
Yeah.
Yeah, condos are
Well,
individually owned.
there's contradiction in their plan submittals. One sheet will say one, the other one will say something else.
Basically the same size units.
Yes.
Apartments or condos, that's, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Maybe down the road if they want to condoize them or something.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And we still have a little time. We've got our deputy with us, Ms. Rochelle, back here. We do have a copy of the police report. So you did have 60 vehicle stops. We appreciate that, so. Any comments for Corporal Rozelle?
I have seen where the sheriff's department has been putting out a lot for lock your cars reminders. Has there been an uptick in that in Leonardtown? Do we know?
No, not in Leonardtown,
Okay.
mostly in Lexington Park and Great Mills.
Okay.
There has been charges to individuals on both cases. There was a group that was doing the burglary of motor vehicles in like Cecil Mills and those surrounding neighborhoods there. And then there was another individual that was just recently charged with the ones from Town Creek and Buck Hewitt area. Nothing in the Leonardtown area though.
Okay, good. It just reminded me to lock my car. Okay.
Any other comments, questions for Corporal Rozelle? Okay, thank you very much. And we still have about 6-7 minutes. Lachelle, you want to?
I can do part of the state highway, letter C, the state highway administration amendment to the MOU, maybe. Is it quick one?
Sure.
So as part of the ongoing sidewalk project with State Highway on Hollywood Road, we are having to participate in some water and sewer line relocations. The language for that is being added to the previously approved MOU. We approved that April 9th of 2024 between the town and the state. And we have done a prior rights analysis, or State Highway has, and we have about a 50% responsibility for those. We have been working very closely with them, and we've worked with them, Mike and Tony, to redesign some of their issues so that we don't have to relocate the water line. So we have worked through some of them. The original projected cost for the relocations was about $550,000. We did budget $250,000 in the budget that's being presented today for our share from reserves. The other item in the capital project for this project is the portion of the right-of-way acquisition that we're responsible for. And we were capped at $136,000 for that portion of on the original MOU. So I highlighted, there's just in paragraph 1, number 1, they just added water and sewer line relocations. And the same on paragraph 2, they added that to the original MOU. That's the only change. We just need a motion to have the mayor sign that MOU.
All right, I move to approve Amendment 1 of the State Highway Memorandum of Understanding for the Maryland 245 Sidewalk Project to include water and sewer line relocation.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second, further discussion. Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good, thank you very much.
And then maybe Jennifer, you want to give your, you have anything to add?
Yeah, just to add to the report, I attended the Main Street America conference last week in Philly, and I made a photo album with all the highlights that I can share with you after the meeting.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm excited. And I really enjoyed it. Please let me know if you have any questions on the report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then, I don't know if you want me to give the LBA report, because they aren't able to make it.
Okay,
Do you want to do
yeah,
that
no one
one?
here from the LDA. Well, why don't you give a little highlight of Friday's meeting?
Yeah, well, that's kind of, they said there's something to talk about, but they wanted to thank the town council for attending the state of the town and celebrating the past 25 years with us. But it was a great turnout. We had about 130 people there. It just was such a positive event. I think all of you were there, so really enjoyed it, other than the rain, but.
Yeah.
So, and then they also wanted to send a big thank you to town council members and town staff for all their help with the most exceptional egg hunt, and of course to Nick and Eris for their bunny hopping. And that was it.
We were the
Okay.
bunny bouncers.
Yeah. Also on my report, I was just going to mention that I've had the pleasure of going out and doing the mock council with Duke, Leonardtown, and Father Andrew White, fourth graders over the last couple weeks, so that was great. So it's always, you always hear what's going on out there from, I'm sure they're highlighting what the parents have said, you know, all the accidents, because, you know, what we do, we hand out money and then they end up doing a budget session and deciding where the money is put. And of course, this year was all for streets and roads and policing because of all the accidents that we've been having all over the county, not just here in town. But, no, it's always good to meet with them, and you always hear what's going on out there. So the other thing I wanted to mention was this weekend is the Southern Maryland Firemen's Association, for the Southern Maryland Firemen's Association, and Tommy Mattingly Jr. is going to become president, so congratulations to him and thank him. And they've got a couple events going on this weekend, so they'll be out there with the parade on Sunday and doing their
A couple weeks.
process.
Yeah,
think it's-
weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Twice a week.
Not this weekend, 2 weekends.
Don't do that to me.
Not Easter weekend.
Busy month. Yeah, don't do that to me.
Okay. All right, that's really all I had for my report.
I mean, she could probably give the background now.
Okay.
That's enough, I
Yeah.
think.
Let's switch back to Sharon for our public hearing. It's not going to start until 4:15, but you can start your report, please.
Sure. So today we're presenting the proposed commissioner's budget or council budget for fiscal year 2026. Michelle and I put a lot of time and effort into this budget cycle. It was particularly a tough, I would say, budget cycle, not just because it was my first time doing it for the town, but just because there are a lot of variables that we hadn't had in the past. Mainly being the slowdown of the permitting and building in the town until the expansion with the new well and tower completed. And then we're going to pick right back up. So, you know, it was a tough year to try to get everyone's wants and needs into the budget and make sure that it was balanced and that we could afford it. So in saying that, you know, I've outlined some of the remarks to you all in your letter. And just to let the public know, the general fund is for the general government, administration of the town. It's for community development, planning and zoning, public works, public safety, and recreation and parks. And the primary way we finance the day-to-day activities of the town is through property taxes, income taxes, shared state revenue taxes, and permits and fees, grants, and other miscellaneous items. We do have one enterprise fund, which is the water and sewer and solid and trash recycling, and that all goes into the enterprise fund. It's run like a business. And it maintains the water and sewer facilities and the collection of trash and our recyclables. We did bid out our trash contract in fiscal year 2025, so those new rates will be going into effect for this budget coming up. The user fees that were charge the users for the service of the water and the sewer and the trash collection is what we use to pay for the services that we provide. And we also do charge a capacity allocation and an impact fee, but that's only for expansion and building of new homes or major repairs at the facilities, not for the day-to-day operations. Under the general fund, I'll go into a little bit more detail on income tax, which is the largest revenue source that we have. It represents about 38% of our operating revenue. And we've had this in the past, but it's important that if you're filing a tax return within the town and you live within the town, that you select that you're within the town, because that's how we receive your income tax from the state. Real estate property is our second largest revenue. It accounts for just under $1 million, and it represents about 32% of the operating budget. This budget maintains the same tax rate that we had in '25 of 0.1203. The next largest source of revenue is our highway user revenue, which is budgeted in fiscal year '26 budget at $391,099, and that has been confirmed by a letter that we received from the state. The total general fund expenses are $3,110,677, and it's currently budgeted for recurring operating expenses, and it represents about 13.7% increase over the 25-year approved budget of just over almost $2.7 million. This increase is mostly due, and Ms. Shell spoke to it a little bit earlier, is for a general fund transfer for a capital project for the sidewalk project, which is the Route 245 utility, in the utility complex up there. In, let's see, in '23, we are started to set aside, well, in the past couple of years, we started to set aside money for any excess funds that we had left over at the end of the budget to go to the waterfront revitalization project. So this year, we're committing $33,653, and that we have already committed just over $500,000, of which $175,000 we did spend on the Wharf parking lot. Next, we'll go into the fund balance. So we have a procedure or policy that we have that we would want to keep fund balance at least 50% of our operating revenues, and this budget does meet that, and it meets it and a little bit over. We're at 58.6%, so we still have a healthy fund balance in the general fund. Any questions so far on the general fund? All right, the enterprise fund, again, it's run like a business. It's not supposed to be supported by the general fund, it's supposed to be supported by the user fees that are collected for the services. So the wastewater treatment plant and the sewer system, the proposed operating budgets for those two combined is an increase of 12% over fiscal year 2025 approved budget. The rate increase will be $3.53 a month for a residential user, and a commercial user will see $5.77 a month per EDU. The water system, that budget is expected to increase by 4% over the 25 budget, and that rate will increase for a residential user by $2.55 per month. And the commercial rate increases is based on the size of the line that's servicing that commercial site. trash contract, I think I mentioned earlier, was rebid in February of '25. The trash service rates were proposed to increase by $3.81 a month. Commercial rates again varied depending on the service that they were receiving. And both the water and sewer and solid waste and the trash collection, all these rates are detailed in the budget package.
But again, that's a total for residents of about $10 a month.
And just, we do have, if anyone wants to see them, actual bills from outside of the town showing that we are still well below what the residents pay outside of the town boundaries, well below.
Okay, thank you.
So we have
Oh, right. So in your packet, we did include a historical rate, history of how the water and sewer and the trash rates have increased and decreased over the last, this goes back to '97. So that's there if you want to look at it.
just the water, we haven't increased the water rate since 2013 at all. And the last 3 years, we increased the sewer, but before that, it was 4 years that we didn't. So it's consistently, we've tried to hold the rates down as well as we can.
And the water and sewer, the years that we did increase, it was just the standard 2% that is written in the code. Lastly, we'll move on to capital projects. Again, in past capital project years, we've adopted the construction of the new water tower to serve our new customers that are coming with the expansion of Leonardtown. And the project is expected to be completed in summer 2025, somewhere in that area. We're also constructing an additional well for potable water, and that's scheduled for fiscal year 2026 and should be completed by the end of calendar year 25. We also have in the capital budget in the out years, we have the exterior painting of the Tudor Hall water tower. Last year's budget, we had it in 26, and we moved it out to 28. We've taken on the additional debt for the funding for the payment of the water tower and the 2 CDA units, the water tower, the expansion. So we wanted to push that out until we start picking up with permitting and building again. And then we also have a water meter replacement project scheduled out in 28 and 29. We broke it out into 2 years. And then lastly is just my summary. As we grow, I know the mayor and the council constantly reevaluate the priorities and goals that they really chart, of course, for the Leonardtown to be the best small town for its residents and businesses. And since I've been here, I can see that. So, if you have any questions further on the budget or you need me to go into more detail, please just let me know. Thank you.
Have we received any comments, public comments?
I haven't received any. Need to close the meeting.
Okay, so I'll actually take a motion to close the regular meeting and open the public hearing.
All right, I move to close the regular meeting, open the public hearing, reference ordinance number 228, approving the FY26 budget and setting the real property tax rate.
I'll second. Oh, sorry, Mary.
Okay. Motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So be. Public hearing. Yes.
We have not received any comments. Do you want to say how we advertised?
Yeah, so we did advertise in the local paper, and that was advertised, it was ordinance 228, and it was advertised for 1 week, saying that the purpose of the meeting was to receive public comment on the recommended budget.
It's also been on the website as well.
It's been on our website as well, and, let's see. And nobody has requested copies or anything like that of the budget package, so we haven't received any requests.
So any comments, questions on the budget?
May it please the mayor, Gordon Stillway. Just curious, are you charged as the town charging property taxes for the restaurants that have expanded into the public domain, the sidewalks and the other areas in front of their respective businesses?
No, sir.
No? Thank you.
Any other public comments? Okay, entertain a motion to close the public hearing, reopen the regular meeting.
All right, I move to close the public hearing and open the regular meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay.
Sharon, just to confirm, we can ask questions now, right?
Yes.
Just to confirm, there's no negative impact pushing out the payment for the water tower. I just wanted to, in case people have some
No,
concerns.
I think Michelle had mentioned that the inside had already been done, so that's in good shape. It's just the visual on the outside.
Okay, thank you.
And even financially, it's better to move it out a couple years. I talked to the superintendent, he didn't feel that it was a big issue. And just the number of projects we have going on the well is out to bid now, and the water tower is under construction. The expansion hasn't wrapped up completely yet, so just everybody spread a little bit thin to start another project right now.
Agree. I just wanted to make sure that if people were watching, they know that there's no impact. Thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't look too...
No, it's not terrible. And a few years ago, we did have some repairs inside, and we had to drain them and do those because they, were bad. But we have those all completed.
Great. Sharon, I think you did an excellent job explaining the enterprise fund. That was really the way you break it down, and that's true. It's not that we're raising prices because we want to. The prices, everything's going up in cost, and I think you did an excellent job breaking it down. So everything looks great. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for getting our stuff in that you could.
Oh, you're
Okay, any other comments, questions?
So just to reiterate what Dan asked earlier, trash, water, sewer bills for residents for one EDU will go up about $10 a month. It's not bad.
And we're going to send a
Considering
letter
everything
out
else
in the next bill explaining that for the following quarter, so they'll have a time to prepare for it. Probably trash rates now that we've rebid that are closest to being what you would pay outside of town, except you get 2 times a week plus free recycling.
Right.
So even though it's about the same, it will be about the same after July 1st, you still get added services. But as far as water and sewer, and like I said, I'm happy to share those bills with anybody to compare because it's significantly lower in the town.
Okay, anything else? Anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move to approve ordinance number 228, approving the FY26 budget and setting the real property tax rate.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second, further discussion. Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Now that you've passed the budget.
Too late.
I have a budget adjustment, no, I'm just kidding. Part of the budget is to upgrade the water and sewer software, and it's going to be going to the cloud. But also in that is we can now process ACH payments for customers. And in the last quarterly bill that went out in early April, we sent ACH forms out there and letting them know that this was coming about probably in September at the earliest. And in a week and a half, we've received 40 already.
Awesome. Wow.
So it's positive that, people are going to be using that.
And you can mail that in or drop it off?
Correct.
Perfect.
Yep.
But you can't decide the date of it, like it's an automatic, right? Like it's always on the same day, is that right?
Right, so depending on when the due date is, like, I'm not sure how Shore United works, which is our bank, but we send them like a pre-file
Okay.
and like several weeks before, just to make sure all the bank accounts and the routing numbers match up. And then we draft it a couple days before the actual due date.
Okay.
Yep.
And just another point to the budget is, we had a very successful first year with the fire and rescue waiving the property tax. So far, last I checked, we had 15 complete applications, and we still have till the 1st of May. So, and that is included in the budget, and so that was very successful.
Awesome. Great.
Very
Love
good
it.
news.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just in time for the next one.
You want to give a little background, or you want me to go ahead and close the,
You can go ahead and open the public hearing, unless you can go ahead.
entertain a motion to close the regular meeting, open the public hearing?
I move to close the, what am I doing?
We're opening for the public.
It's tax season. I can't tell you anything. Let somebody else do it.
I'll make a motion that we close the regular meeting to open the public hearing for ordinance number 227, the 2025 comprehensive land use plan update.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, now give us a little background.
Okay, so for the comprehensive plan update, this is required by the land use article of the state of Maryland. We have gone through a lot of the process so far of getting public input, and I'll get into that a little bit more during the presentation. But on January 10th, we sent a comprehensive plan to the state and the state agencies. They did send back. It looks very daunting when you look at the number of comments, but as far as the content is concerned, there was only a couple comments that needed some significant changes within the draft. So we did take this to the Planning Commission on March 17th. And they did provide a positive recommendation for the council to adopt the comprehensive plan. So then we did publish for this public hearing in the newspaper on the week of March 28th and April 3rd. I don't remember the exact dates off the top of my head, but we ran in both of those newspapers, so it was properly advertised for the public hearing today. Now I will go into the overview. We did receive comments that were submitted prior to the Planning Commission. We had a letter from the Main Street Advisory Council with their recommendations on moving forward with a farm-based code within the subsequent ordinance changes that are moving forward. We did receive a letter with regards to a proposed annexation at 26650 Point Lookout Road. And we did receive a letter with regards to a proposed annexation for 40605 Eddie Nelson Lane and 26415 Point Lookout Road. We received a letter from Mr. Mike Lamont of Paragon Properties requesting a possible rezoning of the property located at 41680 Courthouse Drive, which would be considered as part of the zoning code amendments. The property is zoned commercial, so it would be more of a zoning issue. And then we did just receive, and I believe this is provided to you in your packets, a email from Mr. Wilson.
Bennett.
Oh, Bennett Wilson, I'm sorry. Ms. Wilson, my apologies. And most of the commentary was positive. They did have some concerns about stormwater management and making sure that those are being implemented throughout the development review process. So those are the comments that we did receive as part of the package. So now I'll get into a summary of the comprehensive plan overall. So here is an updated timeline. But we did move through the public hearing for the Planning Commission. And of course, we were here at the public hearing for the Town Council in April. So we are on schedule with the adoption of the comprehensive plan as we initially proposed. We have an update of significant changes in 2010, which was a summary provided just so everyone kind of knew what we were working on before and how we're moving forward as part of the comp plan. So the new St. Mary's County Library, Captain Walter Francis Duke School was constructed, several water, wastewater upgrades, a lot of upgrades to the wharf and public art that was done throughout the town, updating or adopting the 2019 Downtown Strategic Plan and the 2022 Downtown Strategic Plan Phase 2, as well as widening of Maryland 5 and upgrading pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure along Maryland Route 5 and Eagle and Rosary Street. So I'm going to do kind of a combination here as I do the PowerPoint, and then within your packets, and there are copies that show a summary of changes that we did to address the comments from the state. So within your packets, there is the just kind of overall summary. There is the overall review of the state comments for park-specific responses, and then the proposed draft of the comprehensive plan dated April 14th, 2025. So as far as the overview, that kind of ties into section 1, introduction and overview. So I did note the pages within the new version because they did change a little bit. So with the introduction and overview, there's now pages 2 through 23. We did some minor edits for grammar, spelling, formatting as it relates to the overall plan. We did add the Maryland's guiding principles on page 3, just as an overview. We summarized the plan priorities on page 5. And I updated the historical background in the municipal establishment section just to kind of condense it down to look a little more appealing on the overall. So with the section 1, that's really the main goal, is to kind of show an overview of what's contained within the comprehensive plan. It talks about the main elements of land use, housing, transportation, community facilities, sensitive areas, municipal growth, water resources, mineral resources, as we found out in our case, and fisheries if applicable. Other requirements include implementation, how you're going to enforce the comprehensive plan, goals and objectives, the development capacity analysis, development regulations in areas of critical state concern. The town also includes a couple of different elements as far as the community character and design, downtown development, and town waterfront. We did combine the downtown and the waterfront into one element just to kind of make sure it makes sense and to be clarified. So within section 2, this is our live, work, play. We're looking at community facilities, parks and recreation, housing, as well as the downtown and waterfront element. So within the community facilities element, which is on pages, it starts on page 24. We did, again, minor edits for grammar, spelling, and formatting, and then the goals and action items were updated just to remove repetition. There was a few, you noticed that there was a couple that kind of said the same thing, so we went through and tried to clarify those just to make sure that it was apparent what we were looking to do on pages 29 through 30. Within the parks and recreation elements, again, some minor grammar editing on pages 31 through 34. We have a parks and recreational map. You'll notice that there's some decorative formatting that's missing from this draft. It's really just decorative. All the content is there. I had a little mishap with my laptop where the weekend, so some of my formatting was lost to the ether.
Oh.
But all the content is there, so it's just some pictures and things like that that you'll notice that we'll still need to add in the final version. And again, goals and action items were reviewed and updated to remove repetition. The big comment that we received from the state was regarding our housing element. And I will go ahead and kind of summarize the comment here. I made sure to put it in your summary. Is that under the land use article, the town is required to address housing affordability, fair housing, and workforce housing as well as low-income housing. How are we going to make sure that people can afford to buy housing in the future? So that was notably absent from, we were trying to keep it more of a vague, an overall, not vague, overall of, you know, how housing is going to be progressing within the town, and they want us to get even more specific. So we did add some language, and we did add some statistics regarding the housing affordability, owner versus renter occupied, the AMI of the different housing. And so far, we're really not in bad shape. We do need to, you know, kind of make sure that we prioritize any projects that are, we need different ones that are doing low income or affordable housing. So what we did was we added goals and action items to make sure that we were implementing House Bill 90, which was before the fair housing. So we did add a goal to conduct a fair housing study down the road, so that way we could actually do an in-depth study to see where we're at, if there's anything we need to improve upon, kind of give us some more details on where to go in the future. In the downtown and waterfront element, again, some minor edits towards grammar spelling. I added the Main Streets and Sustainable Communities boundary map. As noted, is one of the comments that the state provided was to make sure that our comprehensive plan and our sustainable communities action items are comparable with one another. So I did make sure that that was done when we looked at the goals and action items for that section as well. And that is section 2. Section 3, environment, infrastructure, and growth. This is the meat and potatoes of the comprehensive plan. We have water resources, sensitive areas, transportation, municipal growth, and land use element. So as far as the updates, sensitive areas element was actually moved ahead of the water resources. The sensitive areas is really about an overview of what we have in the town, and I noticed that there was quite a bit of overlap between the water resources and the sensitive areas. So I pulled out anything dealing with Breton Bay watershed, or kind of the background of the watershed that we're in, and moved it up to sensitive areas. Again, we did some minor edits for grammar, spelling, and formatting. We added the mineral resources element language that was provided to us by the state on page 53. And again, goals and action items were reviewed and updated to remove repetition and provide clarification. For the water resources element, you'll notice this one looks fairly different from the initial draft. The content is the same, but we did notice that there was some conflicting language in the EDUs that were either proposed or noted for the future was a little bit difficult to understand. Under the state, they utilize the 250 gallons per day to calculate EDUs, and the town uses 225. So if you look at one of the tables, it's saying that we need 4,386, and then another one is saying we need 4,222. It's just based off of the different calculation between the state and the town. So we did try to clarify that and kind of make it a little bit easier to read. It was reorganized for clarity into the 3 main sections of water, wastewater, and stormwater management. So you can kind of follow along instead of jumping back and forth in some of the areas. And then the goals and action items, again, were reviewed and updated just to make sure that everything was clear. The transportation element, we really didn't need to do too many changes with this. Again, just some minor edits. The state did recommend to the town information regarding road ownership and maintenance responsibilities. We have the town road map, which shows the ownership of each of the different roads. That'll be included in there. And then again, updated goals and action items just to remove repetition and provide clarification. For the municipal growth element, again, just minor edits to the grammar and updated goals and action items. Land use element, same on that, starts on page 80 and goes to page 87. And then for the implementation section, the biggest change was just updating the implementation table to reflect the revised goals, action items throughout the plan. And then I do have a little note there that decorative formatting is still needed, but the content of the plan is still there. We did a lot of collaboration and teamwork throughout this entire process. We have a comp plan committee, our Main Street Advisory Council. Several staff members have assisted. We had a lot of communication back and forth between the state and with our stakeholders. And I think we have a very strong comprehensive plan that we can move forward with for development in the future. So the staff is recommending moving forward with the public hearing portion and having council make a motion to adopt the comprehensive plan. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any comments, questions from the residents that are with us today?
Gordon Stellway. First of all, it's a very impressive document. But I did glean a few statistics out of that document that give me pause. And I've mentioned this before, but I think that parking in Leonardtown is a problem. And since COVID and the restaurants being able to expand into sidewalk and parking areas, we've lost approximately 27 parking spaces in the town proper. If there is a funeral or an event at the Knights of Columbus on Fenwick Street, which is kind of a major gateway, if you will, to Leonardtown, as proposed through Tudor Hall, you have 90 parking spaces that are regularly used by residents and visitors alike when we have a big event. I can assure you that on May 4th, when there is a car day on the square, every one of those spaces will be used. And nobody charges for them. Of course, it's a little bit of a liability for the owners of that parking lot, but that's 90 spaces. If you look at the 3 parking areas that the town owns, the one behind Courthouse Drive is always packed. Now, the other 2 come and go as far as being full. The 4th parking area that's mentioned is that dirt area, I believe, that's behind the funeral home, Mattingly Gardner Funeral Home. So that's basically owned by Tudor Hall. Through their good graces, they're letting people park there also. I noticed in the plan that the only thing as far as parking goes is to maintain what we have. And I don't think that's sufficient. I've asked for a parking structure on more than one occasion, which the town already owns these properties. They put it 2.6 times more dollars into the sewage treatment plant than any parking. I don't know where the sewage outflow goes after it's treated into Breton Bay, but I can assure you, since the last comprehensive plan, doubling it almost 2.5 times more on the outflow is going to have some effect. I don't care how well you treat it. So I think that we're just kicking the parking down the road. And I would encourage the council and the staff to maybe take a drive to Shirlington sometimes, up by the Pentagon, and you'll see a vibrant town center filled with really good shops and everything else. And not more than 50 feet away is a state-of-the-art shopping center, parking structure that's free. So people don't have to park right there and gyrate around all over the place. They can go right into a free parking structure. I noticed that you're thinking of new height limitations for Leonardtown. I don't think a parking structure has to be more than 3 stories. But if you consider that we're losing 27 so far, 90 if you ever put a gate up at Mattingly Gardner, you're in a parking crush here. One other thing that I'd like to mention is I almost had to laugh out loud when I saw the recommendation for pedestrian access on Route 5 with underpasses and overpasses. You've got to be kidding me. Do you realize how long it took them just to expand it? So due to the good graces of, I think Mark, state and county or whoever, made them put a sidewalk in that abruptly ends at a guardrail on the north side. On the south side, from Able Street all the way to the Exxon station, except for one little stretch in front of Wayne Davis's development there at Domino's and Cyrene and all. There's a little sidewalk there. They probably had to put it in. But there was no sidewalk all the way down to the Exxon station. Now, when you get there, there are no crosswalks. There's already been 1 or 2 fatalities at that intersection of pedestrians. You can't cross from the CVS to the Exxon unless you take your life in your hands. You cannot cross from the Exxon station over to the Leonardtown Center, which we all know is one of the busiest centers, strip centers in the whole county. You can't cross across there without jaywalking. So instead of trying to think about putting underpasses and overpasses and all the delays and all the expense, why can't the town, in coordination with the state highways, get some crosswalks in? Make it a little bit easier for people to make that big jump. Exxon Station just expanded tremendously. It's not going away. I think we're overlooking pedestrian safety. Those are my comments. Thank you very much for your indulgence.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know with Tudor Hall, when it comes on, it's going to be expanding and a light on Route 5 will go across from Clark's Rest, giving access to downtown. So that'll add quite a bit of walkability to the downtown area. So we do have this in the plans for the future. It just doesn't happen overnight. So.
In State Highway, they ended the sidewalk at Able Street. They wouldn't take it up to where the light is going to be because until there was an actual road there, they would not do that because we pushed and pushed for that. But as the project moves up, I mean, Clark's Rest did it on frontage of all of their property, but we can't just go and add a sidewalk on State Highway. I mean, they have to agree to it, as well as crosswalks. We ran into that at the post office downtown. Until we took over Washington Street, we couldn't put crosswalks down on the state highway, so.
Again, it's a
They
state
have
highway,
to-
so we don't have control over that. But the state highway has planned for years and years to expand from Hollywood Road all the way to Newtown Neck. So it's in the plans for the state, but unfortunately, it's state highway and we don't have control over that. So.
With regards to parking, we did update the goals and action items for the community facilities and transportation element. So there is, under the community facilities, goal number 5, strengthen Main Street. We do show review and update parking requirements on Main Street as needed. And then we also look at collaboration to review parking areas and provide connectivity to key destinations. So there are a couple elements that were updated for us to take a look at.
And actually, we've started working on those already. I had a meeting last week with an agency that's going to working with us on the parking garage, how that can come about. It's $25,000 a space to build a parking garage. We don't have that kind of money, but how can we make that happen? And this agency is very, very good at that. And we had a really good meeting. They're working with us to come up with a strategy on that.
So that is part of our future plans, Gordon. So.
I didn't know if we were supposed to wait till we close the public hearing to talk about those things.
I mean, you can ask, yeah, I mean, we can respond.
No, it's fine. No, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, any other public comments? Not entertain a motion to close the public hearing, then open the regular meeting.
I move to close the public hearing and open the regular meeting.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Michelle, to Gordon's comment. If we were to consider crosswalks, those don't necessarily have to go into the comprehensive plan, correct?
No,
To be
and
considered
we
from
can't-
state highway?
Yeah, we can't do
I
that
mean, that's
anyway, but
them.
the thinking from the committee, and everyone was very in agreement with this, is to help people get across. I mean, we're creating walkability with, you see people walking all day long
Yeah.
on Hollywood Road. We're trying to get that. We've been pushing on that. We put a lot of money, as we talked about earlier in the budget, to getting that connectability all the way out to Meadows.
And Academy Hills,
And
like where I
Academy,
live.
yes.
Yeah.
And so we added either a pedestrian bridge or pedestrian tunnel by Riken. We already had one in the plan for the College of Southern Maryland, and we added one at Clark's Rest. And yes, it maybe, I happen to ask for one every time I talk to State Highway, every time I meet with them. It's important. And possibly, if it's in our comprehensive plan, it could be incorporated into some developments to help pay for that. So that's why the committee felt it was important to have that in there, and we stressed it 2 or 3 times throughout the whole document.
Agree, yeah.
And I don't think it's laughable at all, because if you don't ask for it, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I love the goals and action items being added like that. That was really smart. That was very good.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Care to make a recommendation?
Michelle, I can make a motion and even if I was on it, right? The
Yes.
committee, okay.
You were-
I'll make a motion. I move to approve ordinance 227 to adopt the 2025 comprehensive land use plan.
I'll second.
Motion and second, further discussion. Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
If I could just add quickly, I really want to thank the Comprehensive Plan Committee, Tom Collier, Heather, Doug Islip, Sean Lawson, and Mike Mumolo, as well as staff. Janine worked really hard on this, Mike Bailey, and I was on the committee. And then we also met with our planning consultant, Trip Muldrow, Arnett Muldrow and Associates. He worked hard on the plan, but the Main Street Advisory Board, they weighed in with that letter, but they actually had a meeting, a workshop, a 3-hour workshop with the consultants, and we talked through things and made sure that we were addressing things that needed to be done in the downtown, many of the things that were talked about today. So a lot of time and effort went into it. We've been working on this since 2019, honestly, and I think it's a really good plan, and thank you all for supporting it.
I know the county's working on their update as well. Have they contacted us at all for any? Great.
Sort of.
Kind of.
Not really. We submitted in January or December, we had to give them 60 days to review our plan, and we've
Thanks, no
been
comments.
longer than that. We haven't received any comments. I know Commissioner Hewitt had asked them about it at one of the meetings recently, but they said they were in the process. So, we have to wait, but hopefully we'll be involved in theirs at some point.
Sounds good.
I did get an email on Friday.
Did you? Oh, good.
Great. Yeah, it's great. I'm excited. It's a great plan.
Okay. Last but not least, thanks for your patience, Brian. Case number 100-15C, Meadows of Town Run 2, Phase 3. Let me dig out my papers here. All right, lots of documents attached with your packets for this, so a lot of history here. I just wanted to give you everything. So the staff report was the staff report from the Planning Commission, which heard this case on January 21st, 2025, and made a favorable recommendation for Phase 3, recommending approval to you all. Because it is a planned unit development, it requires to go through the process of Planning Commission, and then they make a recommendation to you, and you have the final say on a planned unit development. Mr. Gertz is here today to answer any questions, and he has some drawings of the facades to show you. In your plan was plans, the photos of the different buildings. We also gave you the minutes for the different phases of the project, so if you had any questions on that. And then the plats as well, because today we would be approving Phase 3 final site plan and the subdivision plats. So, Rodney, you want to show your drawings?
Sure.
Terry, the rigor.
Glad you got back to Rodney.
Mr. Good. Well, I think there's 60, I need to be respectful.
Awesome.
So, let's kind of just throw a couple pictures worth a thousand words in my mind usually, but going back to the overall plan and kind of where we are to date. So phase 1 was basically just putting the main road, and it was going to be the main artery road for the entire community, was to actually get back and get the water tower started with that concept of getting going, which is underway, as you know, back here, and actually making great progress. So we're, happy with that. This became our phase 2 because we were kind of starting from the back and working our way out, and thinking of safety issues and vehicles going past here. So this is now AV&H actually did an outstanding job, through the fall and this winter and early spring to get this done, and we have paving down on all of this now, base paving, and we'll be starting units here in a matter of a couple weeks. So we're kind of real excited about that. And once again, for people, we talk about even the water and sewers apps and the V, that kind of starts that rolling. It also starts the home ownership rolling for people. People get to actually have a piece of home ownership where, right now single families are so crazy, as we all know, that it's hard to get there for younger people in this net. So that's why the townhouses in this project will kind of put that price point where people can actually have a dream of kind of, now they use that as stair step. And as we talk about this project and others in the town, which I applaud you guys for being so on top of like what you have to do to create this ecosystem. I call it an ecosystem of housing, but you have an ecosystem in the environment, an ecosystem in business. It all has to work, and it's so incredibly hard. And Leonard Town does it as good as anybody that I know, so I applaud each and every one of you for that. And in this, like I say, we have folks that will be getting their townhouse, and that'll be their leg into homeownership and into that dream and going from there. So then what the phase that we're talking about today is this phase here, which is the clubhouse, kind of the pool, a gazebo here, tennis courts, playground. I'll give you better pictures that'll kind of blow up on that. And the first 36-unit apartment buildings that are part of this phase, which we're excited about doing that. And once again, when you even get into rentals and apartments, I started reading my homework, which has got a lot of homework tonight. No, it's outstanding, and like that comprehensive plan just is so informational. But even when it comes to when you say affordable housing, this is market rate housing. It isn't, what they call low income affordable. This is market rate, which is considered to be the higher of that. But reality is the market rate is basically what the market works, and the more people, if you put some competition in the marketplace, it's a healthy thing for any marketplace. And that's kind of what this does, where you're putting, and especially if you have, people that are fair, that are in that arena, it does actually help, because that determines the kind of the amount of units, again, the right balance of all of that. This ecosystem we talk about, even housing, is so important to create all the right formulas that hopefully we can maintain a good rent rate there. Everything's over $2,000 now, which is insane, and we hope to be below that for sure, and where we can be on that. But anyway, so that's kind of the overall view. If you're looking at kind of some more blow-ups of, this would be the rec center, and we were very careful to kind of went outside. We actually designed the building kind of in our office, but we kind of took it out in our city just to get some different perspective and not look like a builder did it, because we tend to do that as being builders.
We like squares and things.
Yeah. So this is going to actually be, it's got a unique feel to it. It's actually a really, I think our goal was that when you drive in any community, that you truly see the clubhouse. You truly see the rec center. You don't see that as, okay, you want it to blend in and kind of feel the same, but not nobody should have to look twice to find it, so, and we love that it's in the heart of the community. It's right in the center of the community. Obviously, Notre Town Run will have the path that, we're starting engineering on this as we speak, along with the other phases of the project, and then that connectivity in Meadows Lawn and people riding bikes over, and we draw all this, and you have people walking, and Leonard Town's always been so amazing about doing that. And from Leonard's Ramp. We were like, are they really gonna use this field? Are they really gonna play kickball out there? And they have, and it's so great to see that, and even talking about the streets and how important it is in that connectivity. And yeah, tunnels and bridges are the future of it. Maybe, walk, the crosswalks, if, I know it's state highway controlled, but getting that in the meantime, wherever you can get that piece of connectivity for the safety and that, but it's one of the things that makes, Leonardtown great. It's just, and I would include even the seating that is outside on these streets. It took some parking spots, but it also saved those businesses from COVID, and not only saved them, but helped them thrive, and then create another environment of the town that was even amazing. But those parking spots are vital, I agree 100%. So it's like, I love the camaraderie of the community, to watch the community talk and work together on these things. I applaud all of you guys. But anyway, so yeah, so gazebo here, picnic tables, tennis courts, playground here. There'll be a play field in the future back here. That's kind of right now. We'll go into a future phase. It's kind of dirt, kind of over. We kind of control your dirt there, whether you're going to make it a couple foot higher or a couple foot lower to work that out. So we've got that. Yeah, these are just some more views. The pool, obviously, is in part of this phase. So we really plan on going forward, and we were waiting just on the sewer treatment plant to be wrapping down, as well as that water tower going up. I think the water tower is filled regardless of the well, so I don't think this necessarily, and it could be, I don't know if I'm right around that, but I believe that, yeah, so that they fill, it's kind of odd, because water tower 2 miles away, they all hold that water at that height, and they fill from wherever wells are pumping, and that's how it works. So it doesn't really affect pressure on our site or the other. What affects it is that water tower is built and having that. So I think all the timing of this, and even from the planning commission meeting until now, is kind of let those things get a little more seasoned, a little further along. But we plan on kind of going forward, hopefully by late fall, putting this infrastructure in through the summer and fall, and then starting the rec center, potentially starting the first apartment building, along with all the amenities here, and just kind of put it together. So it's going to be, kind of a, you work on these projects for years, and you kind of get to the point that it comes to fruition, it really starts coming together. It's so exciting for all of us. So, and this is actually a space. This will be the future phase, with the 3 in that future phase. So I think that's about it. This, I guess I put this up, we brought this in before, and this just shows, this is just kind of an overview of the entire property, which shows the amount of open space that was left, even by going with a little higher density. We're still well below what was allowed, and it was half of what we're going to allow in private ways, but we didn't ask for even putting some of the apartment and townhouses in and say, we still want to go on the whole property. We kind of did a trail of saying, look, there's some wetlands here, and we kind of, so once again, we were helping kind of not go into the environment there, and actually it's turned out fantastic. So we're real excited about it, and excited to love them.
So you're developing only about a third of the total space, developing on about a third of it.
Yeah, I think it ended up being like almost 65 acres of aggregate. I mean, 65% of aggregate open space. So yeah, so it really condensed. That was kind of the philosophy. There was a change going on in the ordinance at the time that was basically saying you could even go to a higher rate, I guess, of multifamily if you create more open space, which I thought was very well done, and which made sense. And we're well beyond those thresholds. Parking in this particular community, and because I do agree, like, I see these communities and they're always so packed. We have 200 extra parking spots above what's required. So, and we actually do on our townhouse, we do a double wide driveway. You pay a little more for that, but we did 24-foot wide townhouses, which allows you to go to the 18-foot driveway. You still get the grass, you still get a nice grass strip between. But you can get 2 in there and 1 in the garage. We don't put a 2-car garage. You only get 1 credit anyway. We do an oversized 1-car, so they can actually put some things in there and still fit. It's not a 12-foot 1-car garage, which then you really can't fit anything. So it's 16-foot. It allows for more. It allows for things to go in there. So we try to where they could even go there. But with that, I think the total was somewhere around 750 being required for the overall community, including the apartments, and that's 2 per apartment, and we're 200 spaces beyond that. So we really put parking wherever we can find it, because it is vital. It is important to have that. People have guests over and they have a spot to go, and then they can, if they walk downtown or Uber downtown, wherever they ultimately decide to do. But yeah, so we're super excited. This shows you also how it connects into Meadows 1 and that connectivity in this path that will go through the woods. State highway, MDE would not allow anybody to go. If you can get to a project from one area, you're not allowed to go across, and that's kind of the dilemma we ran into originally, and that's why we decided to go ahead and still connect it with this path, which they concurred we could do. And so real excited about when that goes. It's going to be a really beautiful walk, down through that bottom, and everything in any wetland areas is actually going to be like an elevated brick walkway, so that won't be affecting the environment there, and yet you get to view it and be in it, which is wonderful. So good.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I like that you're doing the community center earlier on, because a lot of times we see them come in last and, people are living there for years and they don't have, a lot of the amenities that they've, were
Yeah, exactly.
quote unquote promised, so I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and again, it's very frustrating you see that a lot, and sometimes it's the way the phasing works in, but this one we're really primarily just going and doing this because we feel like it also is gonna absolutely help sales, and we're excited about seeing it get done, and like I said, it's an 80 by 100 foot structure, so it's a lot of, you got a gym here, a yoga area, you've got gathering areas in the back, a small, kind of a warm up, if they're having events, or a warm up kitchen, not necessarily a full cooking kitchen, but it's actually a fairly large space there. We have this as kind of an office area that would be kind of a marketing of the community at the beginning, but eventually that's there. But there's just lots of great space in there, kind of a pool table, ping pong play area. So yeah, I'm hoping that it should be used heavily. So I'm hoping that people truly enjoy it. So we've kind of had fun creating it.
Very nice.
I'd say it's a nice looking building, Rodney. I like that, and I'm really impressed how you did the extra parking for the community. So thank you.
Yeah, we always look for any spot we can put it. Whenever the developer's counting the spaces, I don't look at them as dollars. I look at them as just value in the sense of you get the community that extra parking, it makes a big difference in the community. So we wherever we can fit it in, we always do. So.
Yeah, it's very considerate.
Yeah, thank you.
And if you remember in the beginning of the project, I think it was been very smart that it started in the back of the project. We changed the phasing at the beginning because, driving the construction trucks
Traffic,
through.
all that, we kind of, it started when we were talking about the water John getting back there, it kind of worked that way, that it gravitated back there, and in reality, it was like, it really became a whole lot of sense as far as the safety, because a lot of times you're building from the front end, people live there, it's kind of annoying, you wake up and, I've lived in our community before, and you wake up and the concrete trucks mixed in, and the lumber getting dropped off, and so we kind of let that kind of happen in the back, and then we're working our way out front as people are truly enjoying the beginning of that community. So we're looking forward to getting the first residents out there this year. So.
Okay.
Be great.
I will say, I didn't realize that the traffic pattern had already changed on 245. I guess I want to go that way. I was like, I guess I have to follow that now, right? Yeah.
That's something we did State Highway, we got all that out. Like, I think we've done 2 or 3 years ago now, but that was, the project's never moved along as you think, but we actually got all that done just because we didn't want the disruption on 245 at the same time we were putting residents here and construction traffic and that. So we kind of just, got that, all the state highway improvements were done early on, and yeah, it does, the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I just did this.
And if you notice, fire marshal approval, that's just going to be for the building permit for the community center and the apartments, but they can go ahead and start the road work and everything, the site work.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
You make a motion. I move to approve Phase 3 of Meadows at Town Run 2 for final site plan, facade, and record plat approvals pending fire marshal.
No second.
Okay, motion second, further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very
Thank
much.
you guys.
Thank you, Rob.
Ready to leave here with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, good. See you guys, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Want to help get downstairs now?
There's an elevator right? Watch out when you sleep, you're not.
I know. See you guys.
I think that was everything on my
Let's say,
report.
do you have anything else?
I think that was it.
Okay, and I've done mine, so we'll move on to council reports, events. Heather?
The state of the town, amazing on last Friday, and just all the businesses that also, helped to make it a success, the food and whatnot, and coffee. A few of us got to participate in the most excellent, did I say it right? Hunt. Good job to everybody. I know that they've asked for some feedback, so if folks have anything to say about it, please send that to our LBA. I know they worked really hard. I'm excited about some of their other upcoming ideas too for other holidays. The concerts were announced on Friday at State of the Town. The first one is Robbie Booth for our June 7th, our Heroes. So lots of exciting things happening. And then Eris showed off this little card, so it's really helpful. It gives all of our events. You can just throw it on your fridge. And yeah, so good job to everybody. Thank you.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Nick, Community Development Planning.
All right, thank you, Mayor. The development side of things, still some permits coming through. The Route 245 project, I checked the state portal, and they pushed it back till August of 26 to start construction. So, sorry to say, yeah, it looks like it's going to be another year. So, for everybody who's anxious for that, I was looking forward to it. We're going to have to wait a little bit longer, but it will happen eventually. With that, I just wish everybody a very happy Easter. Thank you.
Thank you. And Christie, Utilities.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have much to report. The tower's moving along. It looks like I need to ride back there again and check it out. Yeah, it moves.
They're ahead of schedule.
Awesome. That's great. So excited to see that going on. And then, like Nick said, want to wish everybody a happy Easter. Can't believe it's Easter time. Great.
It's Passover. Was that last week?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Jay, Southern Maryland Municipal Association.
All right, Mayor, thank you. Short report, just again, congratulations to the Leonardtown Business Association on 25 years. I attended the State of the Town. I think it's the most I've seen with participants. What did we say, 130? So that was incredible. So yeah, everybody did a great job between the town, LBA. It was great teamwork. And May 1st and 2nd, I'll be in Frederick for the Mayor Municipal League Board of Directors retreat. So that's coming up. So look forward to that.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mary, Business Development and Retention.
Okay, just a couple of reminders for everybody. Taxes are due tomorrow, and don't forget for my small businesses, don't forget to file your personal property tax returns. Those are very important. The latest update in the BOI, Beneficial Ownership Information Saga. It is as of I think 2 weeks ago, remember it was here, it was gone, it was here, it was gone, it was here, it was gone, literally. 2 weeks ago, they've decided no domestic businesses have to report, only foreign. So anybody that has filed their BOI, you're fine, and there's no $500 a day penalty for not filing if you're a domestic organization. So that's that's the latest. I wanted to talk about the tax update. You guys know, the budget just passed up in Annapolis, and there's a new IT tax that's coming out that we're going to be seeing, and there's a new capital gains tax that we're going to see in the state of Maryland, on the Maryland tax return. So I'm not sure exactly. I was trying to do some research on it to see who it's going to affect, but something just to be aware of if you're selling stocks or something like that, that you may have an additional Maryland tax on that. Also wanted to remind people, I had a very nice lady I talked to today who, wanted to qualify for her senior tax credit for living in her house, and she said, Mary, I haven't lived in my house for 40 years, it's only been 38, and I won't qualify for the senior credit. And I said, yes, but you qualify for the low income tax credit. And I kind of apologized because I felt like I might have insulted her, but it's not. I mean, that's what it's there for. It's called a low income tax credit. It's for people, especially for senior citizens that don't have as much income. Maybe they have money in the bank, so I'm not saying low income, but it does qualify. So don't forget to apply for that. And then I wanted to thank Dawn over at Shepherd's Old Field. One of the nice things about working with small businesses is that, when life is crazy and you're doing crazy things and going all kinds of different directions, I can pick up the phone and say, hey, I really like that outfit. Can you just put it aside for me? And she does. And it's so much different than Walmart's like, well, if you show up, you show up. Sorry about your luck. So remember that when you're working with small businesses, that's what you're looking for, is that nice local, friendly feel. So that's what I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything else for the good of the cause? If If not, then entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
A second.
All in favor? Thank you.
All right. All two of you. Where is it?
I know.